Okay, so today we're going deep on the internet computer, ICP.
You're right.
We've got a ton of stuff to unpack here, actually. You guys have sent us a bunch of stuff. And it's like, we've got a crypto market analysis from Binance Square. We've got a long-term price prediction article, which is always fun to look at.
Always interesting.
Yeah. What could happen, years down the road.
Right.
We've got live price data from Forbes and Binance.
Okay.
We've even got a broader crypto market analysis just to kind of give us a little bit of context of what's going on out there.
For sure.
And then, of course, to really understand what this thing is, the official internet computer websites, which lay out, all the tech behind it.
All the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. So I guess our mission here is to kind of sift through all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Try to extract the key insights and really try to understand, where ICP stands in the market right now, what its future might hold, and then, of course, this unique technology that's driving it all.
It's a lot to cover, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive in.
So first up, let's look at what's happening right now in the market.
Okay.
And for that, we can turn to the live prices from Forbes and Binance. And as of late March 2025,
right,
it looks like ICP is trading somewhere between $5.70 and $5.99.
It's a pretty tight range.
Yeah, pretty tight range. And, we see there have been some ups and downs recently. For example, Binance is showing, a couple percentage points of growth over the last day in the past week. So
there's some movement, some positive momentum potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Now, the Binance Square analysis, which they titled, and this is interesting, "A hidden gem ready to explode."
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
They really dug deep into this short-term price action.
Okay.
And one of the things that jumped out at me was this mention of the Williams per SAR, which is a technical indicator.
Right.
And they're saying that it suggests that ICP might be what they call oversold.
Oversold. So for those listening who may not be familiar with that term,
Yeah.
Oversold basically means that the price has potentially dropped further than its true value might suggest.
Right. So it's it's gone down so much that it's maybe due for a correction.
Exactly.
And they specifically mentioned that the Williams per SAR is way down at 93.74, which is
That's significant.
Yeah, which is a really strong signal in that direction.
Yeah. It's definitely something to pay attention to.
For sure. And here's where it gets, I think, even more interesting.
Okay.
That same Binance Square article, they point to, quote, massive volume spikes that have happened recently.
Okay.
And they think that this could be a sign of larger players, institutions, whales, whatever you want to call them.
Right. The big money.
Yeah, the big money starting to accumulate ICP.
Interesting. So they're seeing that as a potential bullish signal.
Yeah, maybe anticipating a price increase,
Makes sense.
Yes, you got this oversold indicator, you got increased buying volume.
That does paint a picture, yeah.
It's interesting, right?
It is, yeah.
Now, of course, we always have to say,
of course,
these are just signals, right? They're not guarantees.
Absolutely. Nothing's guaranteed in the crypto market.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. So the same Binance Square piece.
Okay.
They also give us some key price levels.
Okay.
To keep an eye on, kind of help us navigate this. And they see support in the range of $5.60 to $5.80.
Right.
And they're saying if the price manages to stay above that, then, we might see a bounce.
Okay, a bounce off that support level.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, they highlight resistance levels at $8 and then even higher at $11.30.
So those are the levels to watch for potential breakouts.
Exactly. And they even say breaking through those levels, quote, could trigger a parabolic move.
Parabolic. Wow, that's strong language.
It is. So, they're clearly feeling pretty bullish about this, at least in the short term.
Yeah, at least if it can break through those resistance levels. Yeah.
Right. And they even go so far as to outline a potential short-term trading strategy based on all this.
Okay, let's hear it.
So they're talking about a buy zone between $5.60 and $5.85.
All right.
With profit target at those resistance points, $8, $11.30, and they even say even higher.
Wow, they're really bullish.
Yeah, and then they say a stop loss at $5.40, just to kind of manage risk.
Right. Always important to manage your risk.
Absolutely. But, we always have to reiterate here,
Of course.
this is not financial advice.
We are not financial advisors.
It's just, exploring what the analysis is saying.
Exactly. Always do your own research.
Always. Now, they also bring up exponential moving averages. or EAs.
Ah, yes, EMA.
And specifically, the 7-day EMA is sitting at 8.177 cents, and the 25-day EMA is at 11.3100 secs.
Okay.
And the fact that the current price is below both of those is, they're saying that's something to note.
Right, it could suggest a downtrend.
Right. However, they also say that, like, if ICP can climb back above that $8 mark, it could signal, like, a shift in that short-term trend.
This is like a key level to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think it's interesting to contrast all this with the broader crypto market analysis that we have from March 20th, 2025, a few days earlier.
Okay, so a slightly different time frame.
Yeah, slightly different time frame. Right. And that analysis actually noted that ICP initially took a bit of a dip.
Oh.
It even touched, like, $4.85 at one point.
Oh, wow.
Before bouncing back up a bit to trade, in that $5 to $6 range. And they even give, like, a whole bunch of specific prices from that day showing just how much volatility there was.
Right. So a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth. So it's just, while that Binance Square article is, like, painting this potentially bullish picture for the short term.
Right.
This earlier analysis, I think, reminds us that ICP can definitely experience some pretty significant downward pressure.
Yeah, it highlights the volatility that's inherent in the crypto market, which we should always remember.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got this potential short-term move, maybe upward, but we also have this reminder of the volatility.
Exactly.
But now let's zoom out, like way out.
Okay, the long view.
Yeah, and look at the long-term price predictions.
All right, so what does the crystal ball say?
Yeah, well, the article that we have focusing on ICP price forecasts between 2025 and 2030.
Okay, wow, that's a wide range.
It is. It gives us a much broader perspective. So what do they say? Well, they're forecasting a pretty wide range for the end of 2026.
Okay.
Anywhere from a low of about $3 all the way up to a high of $20.
That's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
But their average expectation is somewhere around $13.
Okay, interesting.
And then they look even further ahead to the end of 2030.
Okay.
And they say, get this, ICP could even reach as high as $50.
$50. That's quite a jump from where we are now.
It is. So, I mean, obviously, that would be like a massive return for anyone who's holding ICP today.
For sure. But we have to remember these are just predictions.
Right, of course. But it's interesting to think about, what are the factors that are driving these long-term projections?
Right. What's behind those numbers?
Yeah.
Well, the article breaks it down into a few key elements. First, they look at technical analysis, so they're examining ICP's past price performance.
Okay, looking at the charts.
Exactly. And as you know, that includes that incredible surge to about $700 back in May 2021.
Right. That was a crazy time.
And then the subsequent sharp decline down to like $2.87 in September 2022.
Yeah, a real roller coaster?
A real roller coaster. So they're trying to identify patterns and trends from that historical data.
Okay, makes sense.
They also consider fundamental analysis.
So what's that about?
That's where they look at things like how active the developers are, how many people are actually using the platform, and whether they're forming any significant partnership.
Right, because those are all signs of real world adoption.
Exactly. And in this competitive space, adoption and innovation are key for long-term growth.
For sure.
And importantly, they compare ICP to other blockchain platforms like Solana and Ethereum.
Right, because it's not operating in a vacuum.
No, it's a crowded market.
Yeah.
And each platform has its own strengths and weaknesses.
So they're trying to see like where ICP fits into that landscape.
Exactly. How it stacks up against the competition.
Okay. That makes sense. So technical analysis, fundamental analysis, comparing to competitors. Mm-hmm. What else are they taking into account?
Well, overall market conditions and sentiment play a huge role.
Right, like whether the broader crypto market is in a bullish or bearish phase.
Exactly. That's going to impact pretty much every cryptocurrency out there.
Right, no matter how good the technology is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they also mentioned regulatory developments.
Ah, yes. Regulation, always a hot topic.
Always. So are they saying like more regulation is good or bad?
Well, it's not so simple. They're suggesting that clearer rules for the crypto space could actually be a good thing.
Oh, yeah. So
it could provide more certainty for investors, which could, in turn, attract more investment.
Interesting. So like less of a Wild West kind of situation.
Exactly. More stability, more predictability.
Which is what like a lot of institutional investors are looking for, right?
Right. They need that level of confidence before they jump in with big money.
Makes sense. And then they also touch on some of the negative sentiment that surrounded ICP early on.
Oh, right, like those accusations of a rug pull.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They even include the founder, Dominic Williams' perspective on that.
Oh, what does he have to say about it?
Well, he basically says that the 2021 price drop, remember that huge drop from $700?
Yeah.
He attributes it largely to just bad timing and market sentiment.
So he's saying it wasn't about the technology itself.
Yeah, more about the overall market conditions and, maybe some FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Right, which can spread like wildfire in the crypto space.
For sure. It's interesting to get that perspective, from the founder himself.
Yeah, it gives you some insight into how they view the situation.
All right, so we've talked a lot about price, short-term, long-term, all the factors that might influence it.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
But now I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the technology itself.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, because I think that's really what sets ICP apart.
Absolutely. It's got some unique features.
So let's go back to the official Internet Computer websites, where they lay out all the details.
Right.
And so for anyone who's still not totally clear, what is the Internet Computer at its core?
So imagine this. The Internet Computer wants to be this third generation blockchain, right? But it's got this really ambitious goal.
Oh.
It's not just about running decentralized applications.
Right.
It wants to actually extend the functionality of the internet itself.
The internet itself, wow.
Yeah, so we're talking about websites, applications, even data, all hosted and run in a completely decentralized manner.
That's a huge vision.
It is. It's basically trying to create a new internet.
A decentralized internet.
Exactly.
Wow. And the key innovation that makes this possible, it seems, is this concept of canisters.
Ah, yes. Canisters. They're essential to how the Internet Computer works.
So what are they, in simple terms?
Okay, so you can think of canisters as advanced smart contracts.
Okay, we've heard of smart contracts, right?
Right, but what makes canisters different is that they can operate at web speed.
Web speed?
Yeah, really fast. And they can directly host data on the Internet Computer's main network.
Okay, so they're not just, little pieces of code running on a blockchain.
No, they're more powerful than that. They're like these autonomous software units, and the things they can do, it's pretty amazing.
Like what?
Well, they can run at web speed, like I said.
Yeah.
They can host data. They can even run AI models.
Wait, AI models? Directly on the blockchain?
Directly on the blockchain.
That's crazy.
It is, and that's why some people think this could be a total game changer for Web3.
Yeah, I mean, AI is, the hot topic everywhere these days.
Everywhere. And to have it integrated with blockchain technology, it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Totally. And then there's this other thing, the reverse gas model.
Yes, reverse gas. That's another really interesting aspect of the Internet Computer.
So for those of us who don't spend all day, every day thinking about blockchain, how does this work?
Okay, so you know how usually when you use a decentralized application, you have to pay these small fees, gas fees?
Yeah.
It can be a pain, right?
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Well, with the Internet Computer, they flip that model on its head.
Okay.
Instead of you, the user, having to pay gas fees every time you do something, the developers of the application handle those costs up front.
Oh, interesting.
They do this by purchasing what are called cycles. Yeah, which are derived from the ICP token. And these cycles are used to pay for the computational resources that their canisters use.
Okay, so it's they're prepaying for the computing power.
Exactly. So you, the user, don't have to worry about it.
So for me, it's just like using any other website or app.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't need to buy ICP or anything.
No, you don't.
That's actually really cool.
It is. It's a much smoother, more user-friendly experience.
Right, because I think there's one of the things that's been holding back, mainstream adoption of crypto and Web3, right?
Absolutely. It's too complicated for a lot of people.
Yeah, and this reverse gas thing, that could really change things.
It could. It removes a major barrier to entry.
Totally. Now, the sources also mentioned that ICP can work with other major cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, interoperability is important in the blockchain world.
So it's not like a closed ecosystem.
No, it's designed to be open and to interact with other blockchains.
And they give the example of chain key Bitcoin, CKBTC.
Yeah, KBTC.
So what's that all about?
Well, it's basically a way to have a token on the ICP blockchain that's directly backed by Bitcoin.
Okay, so it's like a Bitcoin-backed stable coin, but on the ICP network.
Exactly. So you can have the benefits of Bitcoin's security and liquidity, but within the ICP ecosystem.
That's cool. So it's like bridging different blockchain worlds.
Exactly. And that's important because as much as we might want one blockchain to rule them all, that's probably not going to happen.
Right. There's going to be this multi-chain future.
Most likely, yeah.
So being able to move assets and data between different blockchains, that's going to be crucial.
Absolutely. And ICP is clearly thinking about that.
Now, to achieve the kind of scale they're aiming for.
Right, because they want to be this world computer.
Yeah, they're not thinking small.
No, not at all.
They're using something called subnet blockchains.
Okay, subnets.
Yeah, and they rely on these independent node providers.
Right, so people running their own hardware.
Yeah, and all this contributes to this like decentralized infrastructure.
Which is fundamental to their mission.
Right, because they want this truly global decentralized computing platform.
And they want to make sure it's resilient, that it can't be controlled by any single entity.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got this amazing technology, these canisters, the reverse gas, the interoperability with other blockchains.
It's a pretty impressive suite of features.
It is, but the question is, what can you actually do with it? Like, what are the use cases?
Right. What's the real world application of all this tech?
Yeah, so let's dive into that.
All right, let's explore the possibilities.
The sources point to a few key areas, and first up is payments.
Okay, makes sense. Payments are fundamental.
Yeah, and with ICP, it's all about those cycles that we talked about, derived from the ICP token.
Right, those are used for the reverse gas payments and also for rewarding the people who are providing the infrastructure for the network.
So it's like a built-in incentive system.
Exactly, keep the network running smoothly.
Then there's governance and staking.
Ah, yes, giving people a say in how the network is run.
Right, and with ICP, this happens through something called a network nervous system, or NNS.
The NNS sounds futuristic.
It does, right. And it's a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization.
That's like a community-governed entity.
Exactly. And ICP holders can participate in that governance.
Okay.
And they can also earn rewards for staking their tokens, which helps secure the network.
Right. So your ICP is working for you in multiple ways.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But beyond these like foundational elements, what about like actual applications that are being built or envisioned?
Well, they see ICP powering a whole range of things.
Okay, like what?
We're talking decentralized social media platforms.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, imagine a Twitter or a Facebook that's not controlled by any one company.
That would be pretty revolutionary.
It would, and then there's software as a service, or SaaS.
So like cloud-based software, but decentralized.
Exactly. So you could have things like CRM systems, project management tools, all running on the internet computer.
And then, of course, there's DeFi, decentralized finance.
Of course, DeFi is huge in the crypto space.
Yeah, and ICP could potentially host all sorts of DeFi applications.
There's lending platforms, decentralized exchanges, you name it.
And then there's NFTs, non-fungible tokens.
Right, NFTs, which have taken the world by storm.
Yeah, and they're only getting bigger.
It seems like it.
So ICP could be used to create and manage NFTs as well.
Exactly. And they even mention the possibility of enterprise-level solutions.
Enterprise, so like big companies using ICP?
Yeah, potentially, for things like supply chain management, data storage, anything that requires a secure and transparent system.
That's interesting, because a lot of people think of crypto as this like anti-establishment thing.
Yeah, but it's starting to make its way into the mainstream.
For sure. And then they also highlight the potential for decentralized identity.
Ah, yes, identity, a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, because in a decentralized world, how do you prove who you are?
Right, and ICP could offer a solution for that.
And then there's this thing called HTTP outcalls, which I'm not totally clear on.
HTTP outcalls are basically a way for canisters to interact with the traditional internet with Web 2 services.
Oh, okay. So it's like a bridge between the old world and the new world.
Exactly. And that's important because we can't just expect everyone to switch to Web 3 overnight.
Right. It's going to be a gradual transition.
Most likely, yeah.
So being able to connect those two worlds, that's going to be important.
For sure, it'll make adoption easier.
And then, of course, there's the AI stuff that we talked about earlier.
Running AI models as smart contracts, that's still blowing my mind a little.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think about.
It opens up so many possibilities, we can't even imagine them all yet.
Okay, so it sounds like they're building a pretty versatile platform.
It does, yeah, they've got a lot of bases covered.
But with all this potential, are there any, like, red flags or downsides?
Well, as always with crypto, there are risks.
Of course, of course.
And the sources are pretty upfront about that.
Okay, so what are they warning us about?
First and foremost, they remind us that cryptocurrency investments are inherently volatile and risky.
Right, and ICP is no exception.
Exactly. And we have to remember that all the analysis and predictions we've been discussing, it's all just for informational purposes.
Right, it's not financial advice.
Not at all, and we can't stress that enough.
Yeah, people need to do their own research.
Absolutely, always, always.
And ICP itself has a pretty dramatic price history.
It does, yeah. That drop from its all-time high was pretty steep.
It was, so that's a clear illustration of the risks involved.
Definitely something to keep in mind.
And then there's the competition.
Ah, yes, the blockchain space is getting crowded.
Yeah, we've got Solana, Cardano, Ethereum, all these other platforms vying for attention.
And they all have their own strengths and weaknesses.
So ICP has to really stand out.
It does. It needs to prove its worth, show that it can deliver on its promises.
And that's not easy in such a dynamic and competitive landscape.
No, it's a tough challenge.
Okay, so we've got the volatility, the competition, anything else to be aware of?
Well, there's the tokenomics of ICP itself.
Right, and I remember the Binance source said that the total maximum supply is REIC.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
What does that even mean?
It means that unlike some cryptocurrencies that have a fixed maximum supply, ICP is designed to be inflationary.
Inflationary, so the supply will keep increasing.
Exactly. It's not like Bitcoin, where there will only ever be 21 million coins.
Right, right.
With ICP, the total supply will continue to grow over time.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, the inflation rate started at 10% in the first year, and it's programmed to gradually decrease over time, eventually aiming for a long-term inflation rate of around 5% per year.
So it's not like out-of-control inflation?
No, it's controlled, but it's still something that investors need to be aware of.
Right, because it could potentially affect the price.
Exactly. It's a different model than what some people are used to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have. It's been quite a deep dive.
It has. It has. So let's try to summarize it all.
All right, key takeaways.
Key takeaways. What have we learned about the internet computer?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that ICP is a technologically ambitious blockchain platform with this big goal of reshaping the internet.
Yeah, through those canisters and the reverse gas model.
Exactly. And those are really innovative features, especially the reverse gas.
Yeah, I think that has the potential to make Web3 much more user-friendly.
Absolutely. And that's crucial for mass adoption.
But then we have the short-term market analysis, which suggests there might be some upward price movement.
If those resistance levels are broken.
Right, but that's not guaranteed, of course.
Of course not. And then we have the long-term price forecasts, which are cautiously optimistic.
But they depend on a lot of things going right.
Exactly. Adoption, partnerships, the overall market conditions.
Right, so the technology is really interesting.
It is, no doubt about it.
But the future is still uncertain.
As with any emerging technology, there are always risks and uncertainties.
Definitely, definitely. Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive.
I agree. I've learned a lot.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Like beyond just the price charts and the speculation.
Right, thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, what kind of world could this technology create?
Exactly. What are the possibilities?
So, for everyone listening, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
If the internet computer really does become this world computer, what are the most unexpected or transformative applications that you can imagine being built on it?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is. It is. It's not just about making money. It's about, like, changing the world.
Yeah, and that's what makes this technology so exciting.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll catch you next time.